time has come, my friends, for the obvious Need for Speed Heat handling video. Today we're going to be diving in, basically talking about everything handling. And now before we jump in, let me clear the air. Need for Speed 2015 was great, wasn't it? No, I'm not talking about the handling. I know more than anyone that I have jumped the gun a couple of times, actually both times for the last 2 games. I wanted to make sure this time I was a little bit more careful, which is why I've waited this long. Just please note that my intent is to inform with what I have, not mislead. And for people on the other side of the scale, please note that I am primarily an arcade racer. I have jumped from playing Payback, which the handling model is very different, and this time we're trying something new. Need for Speed is trying something new. Is it better? Yes. Is it perfect? No. The way that Ghost presented this demo to us at Gamescom is not the greatest, because of the fact that if you look deeper into it, it's not really too much more than there was in the previous games, which is fine. It was mostly showing, here's the garage, here's a race, here's the cops, boom, boom, boom. For a demo, it makes sense, but in terms of people that need to impress the most, the hardcore fans, because they've annoyed absolutely most of them, for some reason they decided, yes, let's put all these cars in that were from the previous game to demonstrate our new game. Not the best idea, to be completely honest with you, especially when the mobile app has new cars in it. All these cars are stock. We cannot modify the performance of them, which means we basically cannot really demonstrate to you how the handling model changes when you do performance upgrades. Now, I've spoken to Ghost and I have played another build before, and I can tell you there is a significant change when you install grip parts, drift parts, and the middle ground parts. Your car is no longer dictated by what spec you buy it in, but the spec that you make it when you've bought it. So you can make an off-road car, a drag car, a drift car, a race car, whatever you want, by choosing the specific parts. Performance. Whose idea it was to not include this in the demo must be a fool. Before we dive in fully, we've got some bullet points. First off, we're going to start with the positive changes to the handling. The sense of speed is so much better. You can tell these cars are stock. They're pretty slow, as it were, when it comes to the game. For example, the GTR is aging. It's aging, but the Porsche, again, is not fast. Obviously, we'll start with something a little bit slower in the game, but ultimately, the sense of speed, especially when it's raining and you're going very fast, very, very nice. The weight of the cars, as you will see in some of the competition, in fact, the weight of the cars is kind of ridiculous in terms of the police, but in the feel of the weight, it's not Need for Speed the Run, but it is definitely weightier than 2015. As I've said, I've played a previous build, and the grip handling it's so much better. It's actually usable, and I know in Payback I tried to make it usable. It has always been possible to make it usable by modding the game or using the perfect parts and the perfect tuning when it comes to 2015. But this time around, my friends, you just need to put on the race parts and it will grip. Drift does slide, which again, this is a positive. You're probably like, why do you care? I like drifting. What I like about the drifting this time around is that you can control the slide. You control it. You control it with the throttle and the turning. You have to put some effort in when you go full grip. It's still easy in the middle. When you have a base car like we do on these demos, it's very, very middle ground. It actually gets to the point that you can properly spin out if you give it too much throttle. Drift boost is gone. Drift boost was the bane of my life, and that was the main reason why drifting was so much better than grip driving in the previous games. One of the main 2 reasons, and one of them is gone, which is good. Bloody stupid. I felt more of a difference between rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive vehicles. Now, before we run off with that, run through the hills with that, I want to say that I did speak to a couple of the game changers, and they said that they didn't really see much of a difference between the two, a distinguishable difference between the two. Now, I'm going to say I disagree with that. The main difference, though, is more that the all-wheel drive cars grip more, and the rear-wheel drive cars slide a little bit easier. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, but now we're moving on to the negatives, which there's a couple. Some of you may know that the new handling model essentially means that when you brake, you don't initiate a drift. You have to double tap the throttle while turning full lock or turned a little bit to get a bit of a slide going on. It's signifying clutch kicking. So you're pressing the clutch in, pulling it out, boom, full throttle. You're simulating that. Side note, it would actually be pretty cool if we have the clutch button on the controller or clutch on the wheel, because that would feel so good with drifting. Please, Ghost, please. When I was trying to do grip racing, as I said, mainly in rear-wheel drive vehicles, I would get to a corner, and I would go in a little bit too fast because I'm still getting used to the handling. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, and I'm sure there's a way around. I'm sure there's a fix for it other than upgrading your car to full grip, because I know that is a fix from experience myself. But if you, for example, go into a corner too fast, brake a little bit late, and then you get back on the throttle to get out of the corner, you've managed to do the corner right so far, it kind of slides. And it's not bad. It's not a big drift slide. It's more of like a little, ooh, and then we're going again. It does lose a lot of speed. And the problem with that is that, again, I'm focused on gripping. I'm turning hard to try and get around this corner as quick as I possibly can, but then my car decides to slide. I didn't tell you to do this. And this mainly happened, as I said, with rear-wheel drive cars, which were stock. I'm sure if you put in grip upgrades, it would do better. Grip tires, for example. And this didn't really happen when you came to all-wheel drive vehicles. And again, if you wanted it to happen, I'm pretty sure you could put drift stuff on. And you want it to happen even less, put grip on an all-wheel drive car, and you will feel the difference instantly. But my point is, I wanted to bring that up because last time I think I just mostly said positive, and this is a negative thing. I even got to the point in where I broke after letting off the throttle, and then went back on the throttle after waiting for about 2 seconds before I got back on the throttle, which would definitely not be a clutch kick in my opinion. Well, no, apparently still it decided to clutch kick over and over and over again, which was just rather frustrating because that's not what I was intending to do. I got to the point where it was some point I wanted to try staying on the throttle and braking for the corners, turning, and then letting off the brake, not letting go of the throttle at all. Though in hindsight, it probably would have made more sense to lift off the throttle a little bit and then lift back on it as you got out of the corner. That may be a fix, but as I said, this was only an issue because the demo did not have grip upgrades. So we'll see how that pans out. This is my primary issue right now, which overall, I would say, is a pretty insignificant issue compared to what we've had in the past. If we look back to Need for Speed 2015, yeah. Second issue you may have noticed is that there is a significant amount of understeer when you drive these cars. Now, don't get me wrong, we're not talking about 2015 or payback understeer. It's been improved. And again, the issue is also the fact that the sense of speed is increased, so it's hard to really judge how fast you're going. I'm talking about sense of speed to a point of, if you look at Gran Turismo, the sense of speed is hard to judge in the fact that there is none. You can't tell how fast you're going whatsoever, and you get to a corner, you're like, oh my god, I'm doing 250. But when you go over to payback, the sense of speed wasn't really there unless you were in the high 170 plus. Then you would be like, oh, I need to brake, slow down, get into this corner. If you were doing grip, though not many people did. The problem with this game is that the sense of speed is exaggerated to the point because they know for a fact that they're going to have low-end cars, and they want to make those low-end cars like a Brxzy or something feel exciting. And so you're going to a corner at 120, and the sense of speed is like, and it kind of throws you off. You're like, oh, the sense of speed is exaggerated. I know it is, so I get to a corner, and all of a sudden, you've completely messed it up. Okay, the understeer is pretty excessive. I think I remember it being less when I played the build with actual performance upgrades, but again, please wait on that. I do believe that is the case because I don't know what they've changed. I don't want to jump the gun and say it's much better than it was on this build that I played the last time, but they could have changed it, and this could be the new changes. But ultimately, I'm gonna more rely on the fact that yes, I think it was more due to the fact that the handling hadn't changed, but because the cars we weren't using weren't upgraded. And let's be real, if you buy a car in Need for Speed and don't upgrade it straight away, there is something kind of going wrong, unless it's the first car in the game. The issue in the past as to why I jumped the gun, if you would say, in terms of the handling, is because I wanted to get that information out to you as quick as possible, and I didn't have time to think like I did this time that the cars are all stock. I didn't drive the best cars, but I had in the past, which helped me come to this conclusion that this handling is, I don't want to say the best, but of the 3 games, the best ultimately, which you should hope, right? You would hope that by this point they would have got to a point where the handling is much better than it was. They know now that people really like the idea of doing grip racing opposed to drift racing. Some people like drift, and that's great, and I like the idea of drifting, but I would have my specific drift cars, and I want my grip cars. My intent was always to build a grip car in the last 2 games, and I wasn't able to properly. I feel like this game, I more so can. I think that's obvious due to the fact that the performance upgrades allow more grip tires, and it's pretty obvious that the GTR, especially the GTR on this demo, handles pretty darn well in terms of not drifting. But if you want to drift it, you definitely can by doing the double clutch. Don't get me wrong, when I did drive the grip car, I could slide. But the only way I could slide is by holding the handbrake and locking up those rear tires at high speeds. And I tell you, I went down from 200 miles an hour to about 10, and I got about 2 seconds of drift time. It stopped me massively, and that was amazing. It felt so good to finally have that, and I just wanted to make this video a little bit more in depth than I normally do, because I feel like I've erred in the past, and I wanted to apologize for that. As I said, the main issue is the double clutching thing, which hopefully they did say they're working on fine-tuning and perfecting it so you don't slide if you don't want to. It's hard to suggest how they could change this, and again, I want to ultimately say as well, if it comes to drift and you like drift, don't get me wrong, I know there's people out there, most of the time when I'm poking fun, it's more of a joke thing. I know majority of people would like to be able to grip too. That's the point. But I want you to know that if you do a fully drift build, just like Payback, it will drift with you just turning. You don't have to brake. Braking helps initiate the drift, but you don't have to. And that is awesome to me. But also in the fact that you can lose control. You can fail with a drift. It feels like Need for Speed's growing up, and I'm appreciative of that. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you found some information out today about the handling. Hopefully I found enough clips from my footage from Gamescom to mash together this video. And, you know, ultimately, I'm happy. I'm excited. This is such a significant change to the series. They could have literally copy and pasted 2015 and changed the handling, and I would have been happy. But they haven't. They've gone above and beyond in this game. The clothing items, the new paint styles, the performance upgrades are ultimately my favorite thing, and I'm hoping they don't let us down with this. This is the big one, and I'm pretty sure they won't. This is like the third game that they really have to get right, you know? It's the fourth game, technically. But anyway, I'll stop rambling. Be sure to smash like, subscribe if you're new. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Would the handling be make or break for you? Hopefully this video helped. Until next time, guys. Peace.